Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to News Talk with yours truly, Chris Anu, coming to you as usual from the great state of Texas, Houston, Texas. Thanks for tuning in as this promises to be a very, very exciting broadcast. I'd like to welcome all of you joining in from all of Africa by way of satellite television, and of course those of you joining by way of the social media, YouTube and Facebook. Thank you for tuning in tonight. We are going to return to the tension in La République du Cameroon with the results of October 12th presidential elections waiting proclamation as Issa Tchiroma declared himself the legal and legitimate president of Cameroon as of moment. That is what is going on there at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. And that is what we're going to be talking about tonight in this broadcast. Please, again, if you are joining by way of Facebook or YouTube, go ahead, hit that share button and let everybody out there know the anchor man is not just live. I am still alive. Let them know to join the broadcast. As usual, I will bring you my monologue, which is a little bit long today. But after that, I bring in my panel. Bini Christmas Atem will be joining me. Patrick Ngana, the professor himself, will be joining, and hoping that Mark Barretta also join. That is the lineup for tonight. Please go ahead, hit your share button. And before I bring you my monologue for tonight, I'd like you to take a few minutes, listen to the speech that Issa Tchiroma presented to all of Cameroon on Wednesday. I am bringing it back to you because my monologue is focused on the issues he addressed in this monologue. Stay tuned, please.
Dear compatriot, from north to south, east to west, and throughout the diaspora, after compiling a report from the polling station and verifying the representation on the ground, it is obvious that we have secured a landslide victory surpassing 50% of the ballot cast. Such rejection and disapproval demand courage and humility from the outgoing president. In the name of democracy and custom, he must call the winner, congratulate them, and offer to organize a smooth transition. This would protect our nation from upheavals and convulsion that could result from an imposed and unprepared transition. By doing so, the whole of humanity would recognize him as a man of peace, concerned with leaving a legacy that would be cited as an example to future generations. Alas, it seems this is not your predisposition. Nevertheless, without any ulterior motives and with a sincere heart, I sincerely extend my hand for a peaceful transition. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to strongly reiterate that despite all the obstacles we have faced, we now have two powerful levers at our disposal. The overwhelming popular support demonstrated at our campaign meetings and the unwavering respect for Article 113 of the Electoral Vote, which authorizes us to announce the result as we have done. Undoubtedly, these two levels make me the legal and legitimate President of the Republic. If the Constitutional Council proclaims falsified and truncated result, it will be complicit in a breach of trust. The vast majority of Cameroonian people will never accept the Council's validation of this historic scale of ballot box stuffing and falsification which has been brought to the attention of the world. The people will not stand for it. The people are determined to fight against a regime that is deaf to their suffering and difficulties faced with turmoil of an uncertain future. With their backs against the wall, the people have no choice but to take their destiny into their own hands and seek victory wherever they can find it. We have called on the international community to bear witness. We have called our neighboring country to bear witness. Subliminally, they all respond that no one will come and do your work for you. Therefore, it is up to each of us to search deep within ourselves to unleash our inner strength, courage, and sense of purpose. After all, as the saying goes, there is no dignity in expecting others to do everything for you. Others who have found themselves in a situation comparable to ours have resolutely taken control of their destiny and done what was. Cameroon is a great nation. The Cameroonian people are great people worldwide. They must prepare to demonstrate the world that what has happened or is happening to us is not inevitable. Together, we are preparing to take up this challenge to our compatriots in the North, South, East, and West.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I was particularly interested in the one segment of that address in which Tchiroma says he is now the legal and the legitimate president, of Cameroon, and he continues in that appeal to call upon every Cameroonian to step out and to join him in defending what he considers a victory that was given him on October 12th. That is very important to me because that is the focus, ladies and gentlemen, of my monologue. It is the focus of my monologue for you tonight. And again, after I bring you that monologue, I will then bring in my guests for tonight, who are Ebony Christmas, Professor Patrice Nganang, and Mark Barita will also be joining me tonight. So that is it tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, in the move fairly seen in Cameroon's political history, Tchiroma Bakari has declared himself the legal and legitimate president of Cameroon, that is, before the Constitutional Council, has spoken. His proclamation, echoing through Yaoundé and across the nation, forces a reckoning. What does this mean? What does this mean for Cameroon democracy, for the rule of law, and for the people watching anxiously to see what comes next? On Wednesday, Tchiroma stood before the cameras and said plainly, "I have been chosen by the people. I am the legal and legitimate president." That statement, made ahead of any official announcement, has shaken the established order. By law, only the Constitutional Council can declare the winner of the October 12th election. Its verdict has not yet come, and yet here we are with a man already claiming the mantle of power. I'm talking, of course, about Tchiroma. This act reframes the post-election moment entirely. Instead of waiting for the formal process, Tchiroma is asserting that legitimacy does not come from an institution but directly from the people. His message to Cameroonians is clear. Your will has been expressed. The decision is already made. For his supporters, it is a call to pride and defiance, an affirmation that their votes matter. For the ruling system, the regime in Yaoundé, it is a direct challenge to its monopoly on official truth. And for the international community, it raises questions about credibility, transparency, and whether Cameroon's democratic institutions can still command trust. But declarations, however bold, only have meaning if they are sustained by organization, resilience, and long-term strategy. If the Constitutional Council ultimately declares Paul Biya the winner, as it has so often done in the past, what happens then? What happens then? How prepared is Tchiroma's movement to confront not only disappointment, but the machinery of a state that has mastered survival through patience and institutional apathy? History gives us a sober answer here, ladies and gentlemen. In 1992, at the dawn of Cameroon's multi-party era, John Frundi and the Social Democratic Front ignited hope across the country. Crowds filled the streets, convinced that change was near. Yet, when the official results reaffirmed Biya's role amid widespread allegations of fraud, that movement faltered. Protests dwindled, fatigue took hold, and the corrupt regime prevailed. The regime bet on time, and time won. Fast forward to 2018, Maurice Kamto of the MRC also declared victory before the official count. His words were defiant. We have a clear mandate, he said. We intend to defend it to the end, he said. The streets erupted. For a brief moment, it felt as though the old order might finally tremble. But again, the familiar script played out. Arrest, repression, dwindling protests, and internal fractures developed. Kamto's declaration made noise. Ali Bongo's kind of noise. But without the infrastructure to sustain it, the system absorbed the shock and Biya once more remain in power. These two episodes, ladies and gentlemen, form a pattern that should haunt every opposition strategist in Cameroon. Emotional uprisings spark quickly, but they fade unless anchored in structure. Protest energy burns bright, but burns out fast too. The regime, seasoned by decades of challenge and survival, knows this rhythm very well. It counts on it. This is the lesson confronting Issa Tchiroma and his coalition today. His declaration has broken the silence, but if it stops at rhetoric, it will join the long list of short-lived revolts that left no dent in the system. His task is not just to claim victory, it is to build the scaffolding that can sustain it. That means preparing for the second week, the third, and the months beyond when the cameras leave, when exhaustion sets in, and when ordinary citizens begin to wonder whether it's time to return to normal life. The reality is this: the regime is betting that nothing has changed. They have seen this movie before. They know how to weather the storm. They will deploy their strategy of patience, a week of protests, a few arrests, then business as usual. The lights dim, the outrage cools, and then everything resumes. It is a playbook perfected over decades. If Tchiroma intends to break that circle, he must act differently. He must anticipate not just the state's reaction, but the human one, the fading of adrenaline, the exhaustion of the streets, the creeping sense that nothing will ever change. Issa Tchiroma's challenge is fivefold. Number one, he must keep his coalition intact. The ruling party will do everything possible to divide it, offering bribes or deals, sowing distrust and exploiting ambition. If the Union for Change coalition fractures, Tchiroma's claim to legitimacy evaporates. Unity must be guarded as fiercely as the claim itself is. Number two, Tchiroma must prepare for endurance. Protests win headlines. Organization wins battles. Sustaining a movement demands networks in every town and city. Teams that coordinate logistics, communication, legal defense, and morale too. The first week draws passion. The third week tests stamina. Without infrastructure, passion collapses. Number three, Tchiroma must connect protest to purpose. Ordinary Cameroonians will soon face real-life questions. Schools closed, markets disrupted, livelihoods strained. Tchiroma must offer not only defiance, but a roadmap, a civic campaign that keeps people engaged without exhausting them. Hope must become a habit, not just an emotion. Number four, Tchiroma must brace for repression. The state's response will be swift. Intimidation, censorship, arrest, and surveillance. To survive, the movement must decentralize, empowering regional leaders, legal teams, and media voices. A movement too dependent on one figure can be decapitated in a single night. A distributed one cannot. Tchiroma must internalize internationalize the fight. Global attention brings leverage. When the world watches, the cost of repression rises. Yet, as we saw in 2018, attention fades quickly. Tchiroma's team must keep the story alive through human rights groups, regional blocs, and independent media to prevent silence from setting in. Now, imagine the scenario most expect. The Constitutional Council declares Paul Biya the winner of October 12 again. What happens next? The regime will tighten its grip. It will point to the official verdict, present it as final, and hope fatigue does the rest. The opposition will rage, demonstrations will flare, but the state will allow them. This is a circle. Week 1, noise. Week 2, confusion. Week 3, quiet. And the system resets. To disrupt that pattern, Issa Tchiroma must plan for the day after. The day after. He must transition from protest leader to architect of a sustained legitimacy movement. One that operates in parallel to state institutions, challenging not only election results, but the entire culture of political resignation. That means building civic infrastructure, neighborhood committees, legal watchdogs, independent media, documentation networks, and community structures that keep citizens connected to the cause long after the protests fade. Real transformation is not forged in crowds alone. It grows in the patient daily work of organization. For the Cameroonian people, the message is clear. Declarations matter, but they are mere beginnings, not conclusions. Your vote matters, but only if it translates into long-term vigilance. Change is not a sprint. It is a test of endurance. When the regime expects you to go to sleep, stay awake. When they assume life has returned to normal, let your civic engagement prove them wrong. If you believe your voice was ignored, then, ladies and gentlemen, the fight extends beyond the count, into the courts, the communities, and the conversations that shape everyday life. Refusing resignation or surrender is the most radical act of all. That is what we have been doing or able to do in Ambazonia, refusing resignations or surrender. And for the international community watching this moment in La République du Cameroon, understand that this isn't just about who claims victory. It is about whether Cameroonians still believe in the system that delivers it. When an opposition candidate declares himself president before the official results are proclaimed, it signals, ladies and gentlemen, it signals a deep deficit of trust in the institutions meant to arbitrate fairly. The world should pay attention not only to the protests, but to the process itself. Transparency, accountability, and media freedom must be non-negotiable. Silence in the face of repression is complicity. As for the powers in Yaoundé, they have seen challenges like this before. They have endured them all. Their confidence lies in routine. They believe that time will smother outrage. That life will pull people back into the rhythm of survival. Their entire strategy rests on one expectation. That is, the people will get tired. The people will get tired. Tchiroma's only path forward is to prove them wrong, to show that this time the movement will not fade when the headlines move on. That means building what previous challengers could not, what Frundi could not, what Kamto could not. A long-game vision that fuses protest with persistence, legitimacy with leadership, and emotion with endurance. He must begin to act, not only as a protester, but as a parallel head of state, issuing policy statements, naming a shadow cabinet, coordinating regional offices, and showing Cameroonians what alternative governance could look like. He could very easily, Tchiroma could very easily take over the Grand Nord, capture the Grand Nord, and start from there. That is how he keeps belief alive when fatigue sets in. Because, make no mistake, this will not be over soon. It will test resolve, coordination, and patience. It will test whether Cameroonians have learned from their history, from Frundi's fleeting hope in the 90s to Kamto's frustration in 2018. Each wave taught the same lesson. Protest alone cannot defeat endurance. Only organized persistence can. So as you watch the days unfold, ladies and gentlemen, look for the signs. Will Tchiroma's coalition hold together? Will the protest mature into strategy? Will there be legal challenges, civic campaigns, or international advocacy that keeps pressure alive? Will the regime overreach or simply outweigh the anger? This moment is a crossroads. One path leads to another week of outrage, then silence. The other leads to sustained strategic resistance, a shift in the balance of political power that takes time, structure, and sacrifice. If Issa Tchiroma truly believes he is the legal and legitimate president of La République du Cameroon, he must now prove it, not through speeches, but through endurance. He must act as though he already governs responsibly, visibly, and with the discipline of someone building not a moment, but a movement. Because in the end, legitimacy is not declared. It is earned. It is earned, then tested and sustained. And the days ahead will reveal whether Issa Tchiroma's claim marks another flicker in Cameroon's long struggle, or the beginning of something that finally lasts. And that is my monologue for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I will go ahead and bring in my guests immediately to you. Again, I am being joined by Ebony Christmas and Professor Patrice Nganang. Let me start with you, Prof. Nganang. It's a pleasure to have you, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, good evening, Chris. It's really a pleasure for me to be here.
Thank you. Comrade Ebony, it's a pleasure to have you, sir. It seems he is frozen. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for...
Patrick, how are you?
I'm quite well. You know, Chris is quite formal, so we have to shake him up a little bit.
I know.
All right. Let me start with you,
Well, before Chris, before you go, honestly, your monologue should be a reference guide. I hope after this program you will send a copy for us to distribute and for it to get right to Tchiroma's desk. Because I was working on the piece and it seems as if you just took everything from what I was thinking and you've done it so well. And that is the warning alarm that we must sound. While we encourage, we should also know we don't minimize the strength of the dictatorship that we've lived under for more than 4 decades.
Absolutely. I very much appreciate that. Put a lot of time in doing this, and I want to believe that those who listen and channel messages to him can do that. But you are right. I will get a copy out after the broadcast for others to distribute. But since you started, let me come back to you, Comrade Ebony. Tchiroma comes out and declares himself the legal and legitimate president of Cameroon. As I spelled out in there, we have seen that before. We've seen the movie before. We saw it in Frundi, and you were an active participant in what Frundi was trying to do. We saw it in the Maurice Kamto in 2018. He ended up going to jail, coming back and doing nothing, in spite of all the momentum that we saw. As we see today, again, in my monologue, I said, that is not enough. Please articulate as vividly as you can what Tchiroma's campaign must be doing right now.
Okay, the first thing I want people to realize is that you are a very strong Amazonian. I am. And many of us who are reflective have not used our Amazonian stand to say, oh, we don't have any interest in what is going on in La République du Cameroon. So I want people to see us as a people who are very flexible, determined but flexible to see good things happen. And we don't see our movement like something that is in an island that we don't have to form partnership and collaboration. 1992 began this way, with everybody seeing it very clearly that Frundi won. But if I put the two together, I am feeling a sense of firmness that seemed to be generating from Tchiroma today than we saw with Frundi. Frundi took the first step of claiming victory, but the next step, I remember we're having calm meetings in my house in Bonaberi in Douala, and always in contact with them when they were under house arrest, and we're pushing him to declare government. So Frundi's concern was that if he did such a thing, most of the Francophones that he would want to put in the government they would refuse. They would be afraid, and they would refuse to say that they don't have anything to do with what Frundi is doing. So, like you said in your monologue, the dictatorship is always very structured to leave out crisis. They always know that they can wear the people down. They can wait for the time, normal crisis would go about 7 to 8 weeks, where there is disequilibrium. The equilibrium is shaken, and then there's disequilibrium, and then eventually the equilibrium will resettle, and the dictatorship has all the tools to wait for that. It's now up to the people, not only the emotions that we express right now, but also the resolve that we'll get to say that even if it takes 1 year or 2 years to push this guy out, we must do it. We must support ourselves. If it is money or whatever else, but let's declare this is non-violence. None of us is calling for violence. I know that both Bia would want to provoke Tchiroma to get into a thing that he will take the blame for violence and all the like. Bia has always been violent, but Bia is a civilian, has been a civilian military ruler for that country for more than 43 years. So he has used the military very freely against his own people. And we know that's what he's banking on. But this time around, from what you're saying, and I feel the heat everywhere. We should be able to stand up. You know, one thing with us is that we don't know how to manage success. Sometimes we get very excited and get very emotional, but these are times for deep reflections. These are times that we have to connect, look at ourselves, each of us in the mirror, and say, "This is it. We must get this done."
Patrice, let me get over to you. You are one strong activist in the diaspora. I think Cameroon has tried to come after you for years out there in New York, and you've had to suffer for it, fighting for freedom in Cameroon. Now it seems like there is something in the horizon. Is Issa Tchiroma so far doing enough to cling on to that declaration and to sustain the momentum? Because momentum is the one thing needful here. It cannot be a plan for 1 week or for 2 weeks, because beyond they take advantage all the time. They know the story already. They will know that human nature is fatigued after 4, 5, 1 week, and they go back to life. Is it what you see Tchiroma planning?
I would like to, first of all, come back to what my brother said. I think it is legitimate to see in what Tchiroma is doing a repetition of what Kanto did, which is somehow a repetition of what John Funde did. In a way, it is an assumption that Cameroonian history is a perpetual repetition. Now, my contention there is that, first of all, I don't agree with that analysis. It's not only a matter of wanting to argue here. I would say I fundamentally do not agree with that analysis. Fundamentally. And here is my reason. The reason is that this time around, Issa Tchiroma comes at a moment when the Northwest and the Southwest have actually essentially seceded. So Issa Tchiroma could even Kamto could even be where he is only because Northwesterners and Southwesterners did not vote. So OC is a non-entity for that reason. The SDF is dead for that reason. So essentially, you have two regions that are not counting in a positive term, right? We'll come to the negative term later, but I'm just saying that they did not participate in this election. So, what Tchiroma is therefore doing, he is trying to reactivate the North. And here is why it is important. Since 2004, the North has, and it is because of Tchiroma himself, I would even say since 1992, the North has willingly decided not to participate in electoral processes, presidential electoral processes anymore. Essentially, they did not present a strong candidate anymore. You had Gaga Aman Aji, who was somehow a token for the North. Otherwise, Tchiroma himself was working for Bia. Belobuba was working for Bia. You had other candidates, of parties. Dakule Daisala for sure was working for Bia. The North was let's say, an empty space politically. And as a consequence, Paul Bia will always go to the North to campaign because he knew himself. He had the North for grabs. It was given to him. So what Tchiroma is doing, it is not only to put the North back on the map, but to have the North join the Northwest and the Southwest. In other words, when I say the North here, I mean really what we call Northerners. For Cameroon, it is like we say Anglophones. For Cameroon, it is the extreme north, the north, and Adamawa. And now the extreme north happens to to have a very large population because of refugees coming from Chad, etc. So what he's doing is to make that north become a secessionist state as well, the same way the northwest and the southwest were since 2017. Now, what Kamto also tried to do, I'm not sure he succeeded in doing that, it was to transform the West into a constituency in that de facto secession. So I will actually contend that the littoral, essentially because of the Mungo and Douala, are participating in that movement as well. So if you do the mathematics, you realize that you have 7 regions we are talking about here, 7 regions that essentially seceded. So you can flip the coin and you will realize that you have only 3 regions that are behind here. So essentially, here you cannot say, because of that calculus, you cannot say that Tchiroma is repeating what John Fundy did. The last thing I'm going to say here is that in 1959, which is, Southern Cameroon wasn't part of La Republique yet, but in 1959, you had a peaceful transition of power between the North and the South. Essentially, Amadou Ahidjo became president because of, shuffling of governmental, maneuvering. So you did not have any civil war. You did not have anything. So André Marie Bida gave power to Amadou Ahidjo without any contention. So that is what essentially made Amadou Ahidjo become president. So Biya came to power in 1982 in a repetition of that scenario. That is where I would say you have a repetition. And in 1982, Southern Cameroon was part of the coalition already. So, but still, the same scenario that was done in 1959 was repeated in essence. Biya got power from somebody from the north peacefully. You see what
Prof, if you can hang on there for a second, you raise a point which I would like Ebini to come in there and let me get his thoughts on it. You suggested that, well, the Southern Cameroons made Issa Tchiroma, I don't know whether you mean to say made him not to win or what, or I don't get the point you were trying to make there, because it is very clear from what we have said, and I have said that here with Eric Chinje, with whom I had a debate here on the subject as to whether Ambazonians should go out and vote or not. And we spoke after the elections here on the set, and I asked him, do you have any doubt that those who voted in the Southern Cameroons voted for Paul Biya, voted for Issa Tchiroma? He said no. Did they declare Issa Tchiroma the winner in the northern and southern zones of Amazonia? Of course not. So the question remains, even if Ambazonians went out and voted, what change would it have made? Ebini, please.
Well, and the only historical trend that we can see from trying to pin that on the Northwest and Southwest is the elections of, when was that? Was that 1991? The legislative election. No, not the presidential. The legislative was January. Okay, 1991 legislative election when the SDF boycotted the elections.
Right.
You remember that, Patrick?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you say that, you look at that the whole of Southwest, no, the whole of Southern Cameroons, now Ambazonia, The whole of Northwest and Southwest voted against Paul Biya. You remember that?
I remember
That's
that very well.
how Achidiachu became prime minister, because he got 20 seats, parliamentary seats from the Northwest because of the SDF boycott. And then since the SDF was not going for that election in the Southwest, the vote was for Bello Buba.
Right.
I remember the Southwest, the whole of Manu voted for UNDP, and there was one seat that came from Southwest, Beto in Tico, UPC. So I would really, really be very careful to say that the voting, especially in Bamenda, because Southwest is a different ball game, but especially in Bamenda, I don't think that the voting in Bamenda was that significant to make any difference. But I would think that if things were calm and the people were going to vote, most of our people would have voted for the opposition, and the opposition in this case would have been Isa Tchiroma.
Patrice, coming.
Does that answer the question?
I think it does. You make a really good articulation there. And so for Patrice, I just do not think that Ambazonian staying away from the elections cause any dent for Isa Tchiroma. Not at all. I mean, we still know he won. We know he won, right?
Well, I think there is one particular thing about Cameroonian politics.
Okay.
It is all of us know that those elections are rigged. All of us. But at the end of the day, we still count on those elections to make statements. Because when you say that Isa Tchiroma will have won, etc., it means essentially you are saying that those numbers have a value. You see, it doesn't make any sense. Either elections have no value or Tchiroma will have won. So what I'm saying is that as far as Ambazonia is concerned, I don't think elections have a value at all.
Okay.
I think what is important is the following. It is that let us take the best case scenario. Isa Tchiroma becomes the president of Cameroon, which will restore a political order I was describing before, North-South, excluding the Grand West, essentially excluding Amazonia. It restores that order. Now, what will be the first topic on the table of President Isa Tchiroma? Topic number one. I think it will be Amazonia. That will be topic number one. Now, the question will be, when Ambas, Southern Cameroonians, or Anglophones come in front of Isa Tchiroma, the question will be, okay, what do you want? If the answer is, we want federalism, Isa Tchiroma will say, I am a federalist already. So you don't even need to convince me. Let us have a new constitution which will enshrine federalism as being the basis for the Second Republic of Cameroon. Now the problem there is the following, is that Ambazonia just fought a war of independence during 7 years of a bloody war.
Actually, 9 years.
9 years. So the consequence will therefore be that Ambas will have jettisoned their own possibility when they are coming on the table to make their case for independence. You see what I'm trying to say? I am saying that by insisting on votes that have no value and giving them value when actually the case for Amba has never been elections.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, you make a great point there. Go on.
No, I think if one actually buys into the electoral debate, John Fundi, these STF, one is giving legitimacy to a farce. And yet the question, it just seems to me, for Southern Cameroonians in general, is not federalism because Tchiroma agrees with it already. He becomes president, Cameroon is going to be federalist, full stop. So we'll have a new constitution because the constitution of 2008 is a farce anyway. So we'll have a new constitution, we'll have a new republic, and that republic is going to be a federal republic. Now, the problem is that thousands of Amazonians did not die for that. Did not die for that.
Correct.
So if now ambassadors come on the table of Issa Tchiroma and start talking about federalism, they are betraying the people who died for the war. That is what I'm saying.
Let
Thank
me
you.
ask you.
I
Let me.
think,
Okay.
did Ibini say something?
No, what I was going to say is that as much as Patrick is saying that the problem of Ambazonia is not elections, we, the Ambazonians, are respecters of rule of law and democratic principles. Before we got to Ambazonia, it took a long time, decades, because we're working with existing laws, just trying to get the system to respect its own laws and commitments. So one of the paths of getting us to get where we are was for us to develop some political maturity that we could have also used elections to get what we want.
There you go.
You see what I'm saying? But
Totally.
the elections are of no substance since they are not respected. The incumbent would always win. So don't forget where we are coming from. We did not just jump from somewhere and say we are Ambazonia. We respected every kind of commitment, no matter what the errors were, in attaching us to La Republique. And we wanted to play by such commitments, whether they were flawed or not, for a very long time.
No, but
And if you
my brother, because I will not let you come back to Lamentations, because
no, you were. That's why I came here, because Patrick, you're my friend.
Yes.
And even intellectually, we Anglophones and Francophones, we always have that difference. In the 90s, when we were advocating for a return to federation, there were Francophone intellectuals who went to school in Canada, in the US, who accused us of wanting federalism because we wanted to run away with the oil.
No, here is why
So
I'm not
as
going
much I'm very always trying to correct you this time now, because we have the opportunity.
Yes.
Because part of what we have to in Cameroon, where we have gotten to this place, is the dishonesty of Francophone intellectuals, with some of our Anglophone intellectuals too.
No, listen. I would like us not to come back to the wall of Lamentations, because what we have on the table here now is a new chapter. So for me, the question is less what happened in the past, but how can the new table that one has, the new covenant that one has now, bring forward the thing that people died for? That is why I'm saying let's not go back to the wall of Lamentations of who did what.
I agree, Patrick. You are the one who brought 1959, right, to justify something. And I'm bringing the past to justify the present.
But let me come in there. Let me come in there and say something, because Prof. Nganang brought this subject of federation on in the advent of Issa Tchiroma. One problem that Issa Tchiroma will have, Prof. Nganang, is any effort to think that he can tell Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians, what form of state they should have. I think if he is honest and really want the people of the Southern Cameroon to decide for themselves, he would call them and sit them down and say, okay, I am Tchiroma, this is what I think, what do you people think? Because in the past, it has always been the regime telling Southern Cameroonians what they want, what kind of GCE they want, what kind of legal system they want. They give us special status. They appoint chiefs and regional councils for us. All of this, and nobody is consulted. I just hope that Isa Chiroma would not have the same mindset because it will be war forever in that country. I don't know what you think about this.
I think there is a particular beauty in the moment when he was in Bamenda. There is a particular beauty in that moment when he said he is there um, under your protection. So essentially, that was a moment not only of political maneuvering; it was beautiful. When he apologized, it was beautiful because we have a memory in our memory a very ugly Isa Chiroma, a very ugly man. So it is actually a man who I'm not even sure you can trust to drink the tea he's giving you to drink.
Yeah.
Because, no, listen, you remember that I was when I was arrested and incarcerated, he was the minister of communication. He's actually the one who was expressing the most ugly things that one has ever heard. And so therefore, mentioning your name is a moment of duty. One can say he has become a turncoat. That is possible, but politics is a gamble, as one would say. Now, the point I'm trying to make is the following as well. It is that Amazonia, Southern Cameroons in general, has a strong voice, but that voice is disseminated in many mouths. The mouths you have around Isachiroma now are the mouths of the federalists. So that these are the mouths you have around him. And you have a president, Tchiroma, for sure, federalists are going to have cabinet posts there. That one is clear. But my understanding after 7 years, if not 9 years,
Not that I disagree with you, but don't you think that is if Chiroma is depending on the Federalists or listening to the voices of Federalists, don't you think it makes a mistake because the people who are running the war are the independentists? No single Federalist out there can tell a fighter on the ground to lay down his arms. No.
That is
So
what to
if
say.
he has to solve the problem, where to go to is go to the independentists and say, how can we resolve it? If he goes after federalists, he fails.
That's what I'm trying to say. It is that if you start with John Funde, that's federalism, and Agbo Bala, that is federalism. But now in the dungeons of Konengi, you have President Ayuk Tabe who is there. You know, you have Sisiko Ayuk Tabe. You have a world cabinet that's there. You have a world government that is there. So that is something that has to be taken into account. It means, in terms of finding a partner to discuss with, those partners are in Yaoundé. He doesn't have to look even abroad. It's a moment of duty when he mentions Chris. But for sure, he should have mentioned, I don't hate you, Chris. I think he should have mentioned Sisiko Ayuk Tabe. He should have mentioned those who are incarcerated in Konengi because that is the leadership. That's my reading.
Well, that is your opinion. Before I let Ebine come in here, that is your opinion. The people in jail are not the leadership. This is what we are saying, Patrice. If Tchiroma or anybody who wants to resolve the conflict really honestly wants to do that, release those in jail unconditionally. On day number 1 or day number 2, release them unconditionally. And you know what will happen after that? Those in jail will then meet those outside and say, hey, let's put our heads together. Let's get one message. Let's get one direction. That is the way it will be. So if he picks them and think that and do the same thing that Bia is doing, picking people here and there, bribing them and dividing others, of course, Ambazonians will say, this war is not over. Chris Ano will say, you know what? This cannot be over. This is not the way you resolve it. And I bet you, those in jail cannot tell those boys in the bushes, lay down your arms. They will not.
There we
So
go.
it's not a way to resolve it. Let me pass it to Ebini.
Here's the thing. You use the right word for Tchiroma. I never knew that's to say, as we mature in life, there are certain things, if it doesn't go against your core principles and value system, don't always say never in certain things, because you're right. There is no way I could have thought that I would be anywhere talking about supporting a man like Tchiroma to be anything. But that's what is in front of us.
Exactly.
Whether we like it or not, if we truly want something to move, he is the only person amongst the whatever presented itself as a platform for presidential candidate that seemed to have the balls. He's the criminal that we must use to get the bigger criminals. And he's hitting the right note so far, right?
He is.
Going to Bamenda, that thing he pulled in Bamenda, it's a biggie. Whether he's joking or whatever as a politician and all the like, but it did him a lot of favors. Whether people like it or not, for him to have the courage, when even the Southern Cameroonians or Anglophones who were on the platform running for president could not dare to go and pull such a stunt like he pulled at the time when there was a terrible risk. We know all what happened when they called for lockdowns and all that kind of stuff. He went and did that thing, calling Chris Anu as his friend, his best friend, not only a friend, but a best friend. And that he talked to him to protect him as he was going there. And you know what? That did a lot for the Chris Anu's platform, because even most of the people who were not distancing themselves from us and coming to a platform like this, calling us terrorists, they were rushing to come and make their points of view on this channel. So here's the thing: you talk about appointing. We are not ignorant, or we are not dishonest to know that we have our own in-house problems as Ambazonians. We know the intrigues of the Federalists amongst us. We know the intrigues of the Unionists amongst us. And we have some of us who are still here talking, we have gone through the path of that federalism up to where things are right now. Some people said, I wrote something when somebody said that, I tried to say something and somebody said that Tchiroma has vindicated himself. Now, the error, like you tried to do it here, Patrice, to say that we shouldn't go to the past. We are here, I'm sure that Chris and myself and many other Ambazonians want Tchiroma to win, to become. We want Paul Biya to go. Because we also have our own regional and personal interests in seeing change in La République du Cameroon. We want it. I mean, we like we read in our history book. They say a drowning man would clutch at a serpent to save himself. That's how we see things. I have an interest from when this campaign started. I have an interest in seeing change in Cameroon for Biya to go, and I campaign with most of the candidates to advocate for the unconditional release of our prisoners, and ceasefire, immediate ceasefire, and all of those things. The only person who came close, I talk to people in the background, the person who is singing that song is Tchiroma. And so some people naively say, whether it's going to appoint Federalists or Ambazonians and a minister or whatever, that's not what we are looking for. Some people say that he has vindicated himself. I said, no, he has not vindicated himself. He is far from it. The political song that is pulling is good to get rid of Biya, but not vindication. His actions, when he becomes a president, would vindicate him, not the words that he's saying right now. So we are 100%, Chris and myself and some other Ambazonians, even though we are very vigilant and we know these people, including even you, my friend Patrick, whom I love very much, with the brains of Francophones, we know how you guys can switch very easily. So, to tell you the truth, we are supporting, we want Biya gone. We want Tchiroma or whoever to become president. And we would hold Tchiroma to promise us to meet up with some of the things, the statements he has made now. That is where we are going with it. And we are for the long haul. We want to see him win.
Yeah.
But if he's going to think that we are doing this for ministerial positions and all the like, then he's deceiving himself.
No, you make a very articulate point there, Comrade Ebony. This is not about positions. Absolutely not. I listened to one francophone audio message. It was forwarded to me because somebody heard my name mentioned in it. It was naming Tchiroma's cabinet, and Chris Anu is named as the prime minister, and Sisiko Heyoktafe is foreign minister, and I just laughed. I just laughed. I like everybody out there to listen to the sound of my voice. We're not fighting for positions in La République du Cameroon. We consider it a foreign country. All we want is a situation where we can sit down. If our people agree on federation, if it is independence, maybe, Tchiroma is out there talking about a referendum, and I like that idea. I will wish that he puts it on the table in a referendum and let Ambazonians choose. That's all we're looking for. That's all we're looking for. And I hope that the words, as Ebony has said, which he is putting out right now, he will leave it when the moment comes.
Yeah, I would prefer to hear the word partial referendum, because a referendum is quite tricky there. Maybe a referendum in the whole of Cameroon. So it means
you're right. You are right. But again, that's what we're saying. We wait to see the kind of referendum. We're not looking for a referendum that says, do you want to a 10-state federation or you want a 2-state federation? No, that is not a referendum. And that referendum must only take place in Ambazonia for Ambazonians.
A partial referendum.
I think Chris, Patrick, what you're saying, the referendum that needs all of Cameroon, like with the Francophones, among the Francophones, is what was being advocated during the tripartite. You remember?
Yes, of course.
Conference Nationale Souveraine.
Yeah.
And the issue of souverain and sans objet, you remember those terms that we were using in those days. So the CPDM were saying that Conference Nationale sans objet, while the people were saying that the conference must be sovereign, and sovereign meaning that it was an opportunity to re-establish the independence of the nation, which is still under the clause of France. That's why the word sovereign was coming. The people coming and claiming their independence, not the pseudo independence that they have been living under. Because Biya is president of our country because France wants him to be there. And forgive me, because some Ambazonians might see me saying this and say our country, Cameroon we are still within Cameroon. Let's be realistic. So we have established our nation, we want our own free nation, but everything about us is still Cameroon, and it will be foolish for us to say that we have nothing to do with La République.
Exactly.
No, that is absolutely Patrick, go on, please.
Yes, there's something I'd like to add, to what my dear Chris said. It is, it was a setup to have a panel in which I made, I talk with Chris, because obviously I agree with him on everything.
I know you are more Ambazonian than Francophone, but
from the moment of from the moment when I was expelled, because he is the one with whom I did the first interview, and actually it's actually the door that I use, if you want, the welcoming door into Ambazonia. And he may have forgotten. He brought me to some places there. I don't know. I
don't remember that.
I was thinking back then, who are those people who are abducting me? Because I did not know them. And we're driving, back there in Maryland and some funky places. In any case, we agree on all points. What I would like to say is the following: is that you have a president, Tchiroma. An AMBA delegation comes and to meet him. So it is essential to know who the people will be who are going to meet him, because he should not be the one choosing the folks to come to him. So far, he has been choosing. And I actually remember when I was in London, he was communicating, it was 2019. Tchiroma was already communicating with Amber back then already. So for me, it was a surprise because I never liked him. And so it was a surprise that Ambers will communicate with him, on a constant basis. And now I was quite relieved when in Bamenda he actually acknowledged it, saying that, he has been communicating, etc., because, that's something I saw myself. So the point I'm trying to make is that he has been the one choosing the people to talk to. And that balance has to shift, it has to change. As long as he is the one choosing his partners, you will not be able to ask him to make him do what you want, because he is not meeting the people who are actually contenders. He is actually meeting essentially friends, people he can call his friends. Like you call me, I'm Patrice, etc. So we essentially agree on most points, if not all of them. It has to change. The other thing that I think is important, and that is why I had this T-shirt here. When I came, I did not have it, and I changed quickly. Chassement.
What does that mean? I don't understand. I don't understand French.
Chazebang is zero party that the red card.
What does that mean? What does Chazebang mean? Explain, please.
To chase phobia out.
Oh,
exactly.
Okay.
To chase phobia out.
Okay.
So it is the principle that unites Amber and Francophones. For the moment, it is actually the best moment we've ever had, because you don't have any infighting, any accusation against Francophones. You did this, you did it, etc. It's one of the few moments.
I think we do. I think we do, and I
We
will
do.
explain to
We
you.
do.
Comrade Ebine, you sent me.
But do you want me to finish the point about Chassement at least?
Huh?
Yeah. The point is that Chassement is based on what I call in general Amber Franco alliance. We need to have an alliance if we want Tchiroma to win, because so far, to be realist as well, he is not president.
That I agree. That I agree. Anything that will chase out beer, that I agree. However, our problem is for 9 years. For 9 years, except a few people like you that I must appreciate. A very few people like you. The majority of Francophone celebrities, the musicians, I have seen like 3 music clips out there already, sensitizing people, telling people to fight, chase beer. And you know that in that country, the majority of musicians are Francophones. I did not see a single music clip, telling the regime you have to stop the pogroms in the southern Cameroon, sensitizing the Francophone population to what is happening in Amazonia. I did not see a single Francophone politician call for ghost towns or lockdowns in that territory to sensitize the people in Francophone areas of what is happening in Amazonia. Nothing. So what surprises me is right now, even though we are inclined to doing it, but right now they all want us to fight.
No, let me change what I was trying to say. I'll phrase it differently. Because we are all realists. The first thing is that Tchiroma is not president yet.
Yes.
Now, the second thing is that, and I said it at the beginning, he has managed to make the Grand North, Extreme North, and Adamawa actually secede. You could see that one after another, the 3 regions actually became ebullient. So Adamawa and Gaundere fell yesterday. So you've never seen, Chris, in 20 years, actually since 1992, you've never seen people of the North, Northerners, actually go on the street. Have you ever? No. So what we are having here is a de facto manifestation in those regions of what has been happening in Amazonia as well. That is what I call an Amber Franco alliance.
I agree with that alliance. I agree with that completely.
Wait a minute, you don't want to lose that by thinking of any random singer who did not talk about you. You look at those people who now de facto are essentially your friends, are essentially your partners. What are you going to do to keep them in line? That is my question.
We will get there, but it is good that you brought that up. Let's get back to the subject of this discussion. We are saying that Tchiroma has to look past the days of protest. in La République du Cameroon after the Constitutional Council proclaims Paul Biya the winner of the election. And one of the strategy should be, in my opinion, declare the Grand North, the three regions in the North, under his leadership, right?
We agree on that. We agree
Rule
on
the
that.
country from there.
Yeah, that's why I talked about a de facto secession, right? And
Yeah.
don't also forget that Tchiroma has been one of the drafters of what they used to call the Memorandum of the North, of the Northerners.
Yeah.
So he even has a very regional understanding of the fight. We can expand that towards the Sahel, because Sahel is actually now a very interesting place. Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, etc. You have a coalition that's possible there. And I think if Tchiroma puts his feet in the ground and understands that we have seven regions that are seceding, the fight against Biya can start. That is what I call chassement.
What does it
So
did
is
think
the
there?
is the presidency, the residency, the presidential resident in the north still functional?
The old one, I think we have it, de facto new one now is the house of Tchiroma, because he has a guard. And you may have seen those guards are now more and more armed. They are organized. They are actually what you had in Amba in 2019. You remember those moments of poetry.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Okay. Well, our position here, I think we should be talking more of the non-violent resistance and how long it's going to take. Chris, I understand. There are certain things that are spoken in the background. You don't have to bring it up here in the open.
We are not
So let's
talking
be
about
talking
violence. We're not talking about violence. We're talking about organized leadership. You can take over that country by just simply declaring, I am the president of Cameroon, and if Biya doesn't want to leave Yaoundé, I will rule from the north.
Your monologue states it very well. I cannot wait to have a copy, which I'll take segment of your monologue and begin to add different things in different, like you've laid the template. We can talk of that monologue now. And you asked about what we are going to do with this Changement and alliance between Francophones and we are already doing it. We are demonstrating it. Chris has been a voice. We've been for decades the voice of talking about our issues, whether it's in the capacity of leadership or just citizenship. We have been doing that, and although you have seen blocks of people blocking, or we use the blocking method for resistance and all the like, when this election came, some of us did not really want to say go vote or don't vote. Wanted it to just be for our people to decide, but they had to do what they had to do. But we show support, and we are not only showing support with just the mouth and analysis. I have contributed money. I mean, even if it's little, I saw a list of money that they are collecting money, and I put some money there. And I'm sure that our people are going to do that. And what Chris is saying, which is very genuine, is that you guys too should give us the space to lament. We are supporting. There is not it would be cowardice for us to come and we are shouted out not to express our pains and our regrets and our dissatisfaction for how you have watched us being killed, and you sat quiet. When I'm saying you know what I'm talking. Patrick, you are our member. I'm sorry, I need to charge my putting the charger.
But at the same
Don't
time,
worry, I got disrupted a little.
At the same time, I am a punching bag.
So what I'm saying is that you are a person that we already gave you citizenship of Amazonia. I don't know if your country has said dual nationality, so you might be both. So you're already part of us. And when we talk about the Francophones, even though we know that the same Francophone thing is in you too, you're only fighting it. All of us as human beings, we were embedded with the spirit of evil and good in us. It's for the individual to determine which one we want to push.
Yeah.
We
So
can be as
you have to organize your camera better, because now we are seeing only half your face.
okay, Chris. How am I doing?
No, you are cut off once. No. You are okay. Okay, you just centralize your image in the camera. Just centralize
Okay.
your image in the camera.
Yeah. Why
Is that good?
Further this way,
Am I good?
further to your left, to your left, to your left. Move to your left.
So the moment you
Is that good?
More,
A little bit more. A little bit more.
Yeah. More.
More to your left.
More. Essentially more. Okay, so we have half your face now. So in any case, the moment you are organizing
You have my face now?
yeah,
You are cut on your chest. No, the other way, the other way. More. Good, leave it there.
excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
Good.
So the thing, since we distracted you, I'm simply going to jump here and say that the North is a very interesting place. The Sahel, it's a very politically, it's a very interesting place.
No,
So-
but Patrick, hold on, man, hold on, because when we are talking to, we should know how to manage also the sentiments and the feelings of our own people, our own constituents. So, as Tchiroma did, I think
Now,
Francophones too, instead of trying to numb us not to express our disappointment and pains for all these 9 years, going 10 years, the Francophone citizens who want to work with us too, or who want us to help at this time, should also express that sentiments and regrets, even if it's just by word of mouth. Our people were slaughtered, man, by the military of La République, and our brothers and sisters of that region sat quiet
So here is
for 9
something.
years.
Here is something I'm going to suggest, and I think it is important to for you to also be able to listen to me there. It is that if you talk about realism, the realism asks for a post-BIA investigation into the crimes. So the question will therefore be: can a president, Issa Tchiroma, be a president who is investigating the crimes committed during the moment when he himself was minister? You see. So therefore, I am simply thinking, okay, you can exhaust yourself in crying, but it will be necessary for us to sit down and walk through those bodies, walk through those mass graves, and ask for accountability from Cameroon. But we don't want to address those issues now because Tchiroma is not president yet, you see. He's not president yet. And of course, if the moment he chooses the South Cameroonians he meets, he is going to avoid those who will raise difficult issues. You
Let me
see,
get-
This our cry is not dependent on Tchiroma becoming president.
okay.
It is a big pain that is in us towards Francophones. So it's not about Tchiroma becoming president. And the best thing that Francophones can do right now is, instead of trying to shut it down, understand it, validate it, and we move on together.
Let's move past this and get
there's
back
one-
to the subject of the proclamation of the elections. Patrice, what are you hearing out there in La République du Cameroon why the proclamation was postponed from Thursday to Monday? And even today, some people believe we may not get the results on Monday.
Yes, so there is one thing I would like us to talk about though, and these are the few things that Tchiroma did that are important to mobilize Francophones, because you may have noticed Francophones are totally demobilized. So we have a constituency in those regions where politicians, not only politicians who are in Southern Cameroon, but amongst Francophones as well, the Camto type, who are simply taking people for granted. So they simply take people's activism for granted. They simply take people's money, time for granted, their lives for granted, etc. And essentially, people moved away from that. That's one aspect. The other aspect is that we have politicians or social leaders, let us put it that way, that lack courage. The courage, for instance, to call citizens to draft a call to action, because they are afraid to be called terrorists or rebellious. And you know, in the Constitution of Cameroon, rebellion is something for which you will go to jail. So they are afraid of being targeted and of being put in jail. What is particular about Tchiroma is that he was in jail already for 7 years in Cholire. He was in jail, incarcerated by Paul Biya. And that is important. And therefore, it just seems to me that what he did is not simply to declare that he's president. He did it 2 days ago and he did it today again. It is to call people to action. On Sunday, the 26th, you have, meaning essentially Tchiroma asking everybody to go out. And I hope on the basis of a popular uprising, people will go out and express their anger, express their love, express their passion, express what they feel and think on Sunday the 26th. That's what I want to say. And it is a change. It is something on which I think he agrees fundamentally with Southern Cameroonians, because that is how the battle in Southern Cameroon started.
There is a line of thought out there that what is holding the announcement of the official results is a negotiation between the two camps to figure out an exit strategy for the Biya's regime. You have men like Atanganji, Ngongo, Chantal Biya, who would want promises for a smooth exit. What do you guys think about this? Is it a possibility? Ibini?
Well, we don't know all the things that are going on behind the scenes, and that should be going on. That's okay. That's normal. It's very possible for people to be very afraid for the things that they have done. They have watched what has happened to other leaders in other countries who were not granted passage or pardon to remain in their country. The people know what they have done to the citizens of Cameroon and the nation itself, and so they should be very concerned. And if such negotiations are going on, then fine. I don't see anything wrong with it. But if they are not going on, they should also, even if they were not going on, there was going to be a smooth transition, they will still be having some arrangements behind the scenes. All of these things are not normally done in public for everybody to see. There are certain aspects that are things that are confidential state issues that should not be for every common eye. So I'm hoping that what you're saying and what we are hearing is true, to avoid unnecessary pain to our citizens and to the nation, because whatever happens in Cameroon would also affect us in Ambazonia. We know that good things that happen there, like a change of a good leader, let me not say a good leader, but a leader who is sympathetic towards our cause. It's a good thing. It's something we should encourage. And we are in this, some of us are in this with the hope that something different than what we have lived with Paul Biya would come out of this.
I think since I do not believe that there is any negotiation between the two camps behind. I don't think it is fun. I think it is a smoke screen there, because the Biya regime, and actually the Francophone regime we have in Cameroon, has always worked on what is called the fait accompli. Fait accompli is de facto. It is simply you come and you realize the room is already clean, and that's it, you move on. So what they are working on is a fait accompli of declaring Biya the victor and saying it is a facto, let's move on, it's done, and it disappears for 2 years. People don't see him anymore. Now, I have a question, for instance, to substantiate what I just said. It is, you have a constitutional council where people always go because they have complaints about elections, etc. So my question is, what complaint was successful? What request was successful? Zero, exactly zero. So my banal remark is, why would Cameroonians who are, STF for Francophone, Anglophone, they say, why would they go there since they know all their requests actually are nullified? Why would they do that? Even the Supreme Court in the United States, where we know it's totally biased towards conservatives, you have some requests that are accepted. Even in terms of routine, some of them are accepted. In the Constitutional Court of Cameroon, it is exactly zero. Zero. All requests are denied, are refused, and tossed in the dustbin. So with it just seems to me, with the small screen, people who say things like that, saying that there is a negotiation between the two camps, they simply want to demobilize the people Tchiroma is trying to reawaken. They are doing their best to have people stay at home. They are doing their best to have people not be concerned. Because also, maybe the last thing I'm going to mention, let us not forget, Chris, I think you saw yourself the number of voters. Let us even take it as, as a number, because I said before, it has no value. But we can agree at least on something. People did not go out to vote. It is one of those elections where I think participation, Cameroon has a population of close to 20 million. Even if that population is made mostly of people who are 20 years old, it should be shocking that only 2 million people went to vote. It should be shocking. And that is very low. That is very low. It means people's disenfranchisement is so high that they simply feel it has no value, no goal, no need to even participate in those actions. So what Tchiroma is trying to do, and those who were actually complicit in that were mostly northerners. So what Tchiroma is doing, and I think it also happened in line with what Southern Cameroonians did, it is to reawaken that space. You remember you were in that space in that moment as well in Southern Cameroons, right? When John Fundi was boycotting everything.
True.
It was essentially simply boycotting.
Yeah.
And the difference is that Tchiroma, as an insider, knows the intrigues of the institutions in place, and
Yes,
it's
it
not
does.
going along. The problem with John Fundi is that he got into confusion where there was a time when they were doing the vote count. When he rises, he would withdraw his case that he has submitted, and then when he's dropping, he would submit. So there was that confusion with him. But I'm seeing a little bit of a steady hand here, where he has said that it's a waste of time to respect any of the existing institutions in place, because if you take, for instance, they say the Constitutional Council, there are 9 members, right? There are 9 members?
Yeah, 11.
Uh,
11, I think.
11. And I hear that out of the 11, I think 9 or 10 are CPDM members. So it just doesn't make any sense.
Yes, but just to come back to Tchiroma, any political leader of that stature needs to have a ground operation. And since Tchiroma was in the government for so long, you bet he doesn't have a strong ground operation. So mobilizing people now, that is what he is essentially doing. It is canvassing. It is actually recruiting, if you want. Having people come towards him and building up an operation. You will realize that that is generosity, because he simply doesn't have an operation. I'm sure he surprised himself by the fact that he is where he is now. because I
And most of the people supporting him are not doing so because they like him or trust him.
exactly. So he's still building up. What John Fundi had was a ground operation, even if it disappeared step by step. But he had a ground operation. Tchiroma doesn't have it, because when you've worked for BR for more than 10 years, really, your ground operation is simply there for the belly. And it simply disappears. If you don't give food, people simply go. Having him now as a political leader, as a force in the north, as somebody who actually can unite, and I insist on that, unite on purpose, not in principle, not organically, simply on the purpose of chasing BR from power, unite people from Southern Cameroons, people from the north, people, Bamileke people, etc. So it is important to see through that there's a ground operation that is being formed, that's being built. And I think if we take it seriously, we will help the liberation of Cameroon as well, and indeed the liberation of Southern Cameroons.
All right, you guys hold on there. There is this breaking story emerging from Cameroon as we
Yeah,
are
by
learning.
the way,
We are learning that this evening, security forces in Cameroon arrested Issa Chiroma's top collaborators in the Anisette Ekane and Jerkam Chamene. Uh,
Germany, Jacob Germany.
yes, they were picked up. I think those are the two guys, right? You guys know them.
and
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes, yes.
Yes, so we are getting report that they were picked up this evening and they are currently in the in detention. That is what is emerging from the ground right now. Maybe you guys want to weigh in on that.
Well,
well,
and
please go ahead.
go ahead, Patrick.
Yes. Okay. Okay. I know. I think Canada is for many years. I would say. I think, and Joachim Chamini, they are twins, and I was always surprised that they did not publicly work with each other because they're essentially ideological twins. They have a similar story. They go back to the 90s, Cap Liberté and Manidem, essentially UPC. Back then, these are branches of UPC. So I am essentially not surprised that they were arrested. No Cameroonian is surprised when somebody is arrested. What the DR government is trying to do is to weaken the ground operation of Issa Tchiroma. We're talking about the ground operation. And l'Union du Changement, that is how they call it in French, Union for Change, that both of them lead, is essentially the ground operation of Issa Chiroma. And if you listen to the speech of Issa Chiroma 2 days ago, he mentioned the fact that people are trying to undermine his Union for Change. So essentially, to to put out the message that those two are going away from him. So he went out of his way to mention that. So I think it is an attempt of the government to undermine his ground operation or the ground operation that he is building now. It is a new ground operation because before they gave a landscape to Maurice Kamto. So it means even the friendship with Issa Chiroma is new, and the government is trying to make that friendship impossible. Well, I think it is a mistake. I think it is a mistake, of the government. But the consequence, of course, is, I would be surprised if they arrested Chiroma himself. Well, in Cameroon, nothing is surprising.
You know,
Well,
before
this,
today,
this,
we learned that we learned of allegations of to a general. I don't remember the name. Sent to the north to arrest Tchiroma. He refused. And then they sent another general, whom I learned is out there now in Garawa, with a mission of arresting Issa Tchiroma. Is that? Have you been able to confirm that?
No.
are you asking me or Patrick?
Both of you, if you have any idea.
Well, I think the same information that you have is what I have. I don't know about Patrick. But to talk about these two guys, they are very popular guys from the 90s. I know Anise in the 90s when during the SDF launching, and he went to Liberty Square to honor those who were killed. I remember him. If I'm not mistaken, I think his wife, either both of them have American wife, or one has French and one has American wife. I visited with Jacob Germany here in America the last time when he was here in the 90s. And he's a guy who started a business, computer. You remember, Patrick, he had a very
So true.
serious business of making computers for West Africa or Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And when I left the United States, when I went back to Cameroon, I even was trying to get a job with his computer firm, which collapsed. And we remember the Red Cats of Cap Liberté.
Of course.
So they are two very popular names when it comes to change movement in Cameroon. and they have been very consistent. Just last year, Njekam Chairman and myself were having private discussions about how to end the southern Cameroon's crisis, and we didn't agree very much with what he was proposing. So I'm not surprised that La Republique has started showing that it will do the same thing that it has done for a very long time, and that's just to tell Tchiroma and his supporters to be very ready, to be prepared. It's not a comfortable road ahead, so people should be ready for this type of things.
But what they are also trying to do is to let's say, to put fear in people's mind regarding the call to action that Tchiroma launched about Sunday the 26th, because he asked people to go out and to march. So what the government is trying to do is to have people afraid and stay at home. So it's part of the the game. People will be afraid that they will be out as well, and then they will not go out, particularly in Douala. So they want to incapacitate the population. I think people should not fall into those type of things, and honestly, it is childish. Because at the end of the day, the best motivator is the arrest of Issa Tchiroma. The best motivator for people to go out is the arrest of Issa Tchiroma himself. So it is the other way around. And if you really look closely, you'll see that everything they have been doing so far has not, helped at all. They have collected all tires from every single city, every single street, every single, mechanic shop, and when to hide them someplace for people not to use them to burn on the street. They have banned, Okadas everywhere, but they've closed every single shop. They've made sure that when people go to church, actually, that they simply pray. But at the same time, you saw the people were going out. They've even made sure that in mosques, that for the Friday prayers, that people stay in a mosque and simply run back home. But at the same time, you saw people went out and protested and to destroy every single picture of Bia they saw. And even in a city like Chang, you remember, Bamileke people are quite frightful population, very frightful. And you saw the action in Chang, and it wasn't Amazonians who went there to create some mayhem. It was the Chang people themselves who went up and started ransacking every single thing and burning buildings. So what I'm saying is that the government is doing its best to kill the chicken that is being born, to destroy an action that is being unfolded, and to make sure that Bia becomes de facto president. I actually wish that they arrest Tchiroma. I actually wish they do that.
No, isn't it a good idea at all to suggest that Tchiroma be picked up or arrested? I know where you are coming from, but you remember the saying that you pick the leader and you scatter the sheep or something like that. Then everything is done. If you do
but that's what they always do in Cameroon. When you have any movement, for all of us who've been in political action in Cameroon, the first question they always ask is, where is the leader? Who is the leader? The second question is, where does the money come from? These are the two questions they always ask. So they never imagine that there can be a movement without the leader. They never imagine that people can go on the street without being financed by some dark forces that collect money for them. They never imagine that. So arresting Tchiroma will actually, it is the bonanza. It is actually like winning the lottery. I said, go for it, my friends. Go for it. It is actually the best thing that will happen to any movement. But let's not forget that on the 26th, and that's why it is important to say it again and again, on the 26th, everyone should get out and should march, bring their kids, happy. Even me, where I am, I'm going to have my T-shirt here, Chassemont, and I'm going to walk. I'm going to walk back and forth, because it is important that anyone, be the Amazonians, like this, like you, I want to see you march, my friend.
So where do we get the Chassemont T-shirts?
Anytime, I'm going to drive to your place and see your own Chassemont T-shirt. You march.
Okay.
But let me ask you a serious question, both of you. If you pick up Tchiroma, like they've picked these two guys, Kane and Chameni, and lock them up, then the thing is essentially dead, because without a leader who is a motivational factor in this, They may
No, no.
protest, as I said earlier, for
Uh,
2 days,
the,
for
the,
3 days, and fatigue comes in, they all go back home, and Tchiroma stays in jail, broker a deal with the regime, and they put him out, just like what they did with Kamto, isn't it?
I would not. I would not. I mean, that could happen, and you, like they say, picking up a leader to is. This is why Tchiroma should read your monologue and put a succession team in place. That's to say, if he's not, if he's in prison, things should still move on. But I understand what Patrick is saying because, for instance, hey, I would have not known of Patrick if not of his arrest, right?
Right.
There you
To
go.
tell you the truth, if not of his arrest, I would
There
not
you
know.
go.
The good side about the arrest of Tchiroma with what is going on, because no matter what we might feel, the world silent, but eyes are on Cameroon. People
But
are
don't forget,
watching in
again,
anticipation.
it's always good to go back to history. Remember,
Yes,
Frundi was home arrested.
yes,
Kamto was arrested and jailed for, I think, a few months.
yes.
And they think, and if they do the same thing, I mean, they go back to the same playbook and do the same thing, They buy time, people get tired, and they move on. That's a problem.
Let's come back to
I have I've always said that one of the effective tool of dictatorship is information, control of information. And what has happened now is that with the time and the technology and where we are today, and are we still on?
Yes.
yes.
Okay. What has happened that is good today is that every citizen and everybody is a journalist wherever they are. I mean, when I say journalism, I'm not talking of trying to dilute the effective work that you've done as a journalist or people who are professionals. But information can come, everybody can be investigative, can provide information.
Yeah,
So
citizen journalism we call it.
yes, so we are widely spread in a way that we have taken this tool of manipulation of the minds of the citizens by giving them doses of information that is coming from the central system. We've made it ineffective at this time. So what did not happen for Frundi and for Kamto might not be the same thing. Might not be the same thing this time around. And I can tell you that there are citizens right now who might be rallying behind Kamto who are CPDM, who did not in those moments, because it has gone down to the drains. Almost everything in the life of Cameroon and Cameroonians. It's just it's a waste of time. I mean, it's just dishonest for anybody to sit down and say there's a functional government in that country. So I would think that if we are serious too, I know that CPDM has always wished that people who oppose them get violent.
Right.
They will provoke. I can show you that we achieved a lot of things with this government before we got into the armed conflict through peaceful demonstration that was consistent, focused, and deliberate. Very, very. We pushed them to the wall. Even the tripartite and other things was through that. I'm not saying that we should take anything out of the table, but I'm saying that these citizens of today is not a thing about Tchiroma alone. It is all of us.
Yeah.
I'm not even seeking, like I said, I'm not seeking for Tchiroma to become president to win, even if he doesn't win. My focus is that Biya must go, whether there was an election or not. The
See, there
citizens
you
was
go.
rising time and saying he must go.
You
Ghost
see, Chris,
Town was 6 months in the 90s. 6 months. And when we talk Ghost Town, Patrick, you remember, it is
of
not
course.
the one day country Sunday of Amazonia. It was from Monday to Saturday. You remember?
Yeah, I
The
remember very
whole
well.
cities were closed down from Monday to Saturday for 6 months. And they allowed weekends for people to go and comment on appelle ça en français. Dis-moi, dis-moi.
Have,
I like the word in français. Huh?
Ravitaillement. Ravitaillement.
Ravitaillement. So those are the things. So if he's arrested now and Cameroonians don't really stand up and still chase this man out of Yaoundé, then we should just forget it.
Look, I would like maybe to interject a little bit and say the first thing is that I'm coming back to what I said before, that Tchiroma doesn't have a strong ground operation. He has a popular support. And now what he's doing is building a ground operation. So arresting Jokam Chamini and Ikana Anise doesn't change that fact, because Manidem, which is what one was talking about, and the party of Jokam Chamini was really his personal party, it was a small group, gang of people. So it doesn't change that much really, because they didn't rule over a ground operation. It's not similar to arresting maybe the leader of the ground operation of the Democratic Party of the U.S. No, it is a different matter here. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. It's simply psychological, but at the same time, it reinforces the position of Issa Tchiroma, because now he can say, here is what I already told you, that I am going to be arrested, mobilized. And I just read myself that people are circling his house, people are organizing around his house, around his home. But it is also important to maybe signify one thing. It is that the North is as unified in its culture as Southern Cameroons. So one has a region that is united in religion, united in language, united in behavior, in practically every single thing. So it's going to be very difficult for people to come from Yaoundé, Douala, and come and arrest him there and imagine that he will simply vanquish. On the contrary, what they are doing is that they are picking up somebody who has already built a popular support. And what they made sure is that Tchiroma, who was actually a turncoat, who was actually somebody who nobody could trust, they will turn him into actually somebody who becomes trustful. Meaning what they are doing is transformation of Tchiroma into a legitimate leader. That's why I imagine that is the best mistake that the IDPC can do. It is to grab Tchiroma now, or even to give the impression that they want to grab him. That is the best news that can come the way of Tchiroma at the moment of his political life. 77 years old, can you imagine he's on the run? No. After 7 years in, Jolire prison? No. He will say, come, pick me up. I've done every single thing. Let me go to jail.
Well, let me ask you, both of you, this question before I open the phone lines. In the speech that Tchiroma put out on Wednesday, he made mention of the fact that La République was trying to destabilize his coalition, Union for Change. Now,
Yes.
these two guys who have been picked up are at the core of that organization. What if the regime settles them behind bar, bribes them and send them out, and they go out and start saying, well, let's just move on. Let's just move on. Wouldn't that be a really big crack within that organization and the encouragement that would have gone to Issa Tchiroma? Any of you?
Patrick, you want to go first?
Yes, okay. Let's. I don't see patriotic power. What I'm saying is that you had a popular support with the lack of ground operation. Now you have a legitimate construction of personalities. So Ekani say run for president this time around. You have had 0.0%. Not only because the votes were rigged, but because Tchiroma is right. Tchiroma actually said the truth. He is saying what we are doing. And what he is saying is that I'm going to be arrested. So beware, I'll be arrested. So it just seems to me to be, legitimizing Issa Tchiroma in whatever he's doing. I'm not saying that he has a problem of legitimacy. I'm saying that.
No, comrade, I guess what I'm asking is how does the arrest of these two guys impact the Union for Change?
Zero. It doesn't impact at all.
The Union for Change, I would have thought that it would mobilize the Union for Change this time around if they are serious. Like Patrick is saying, these guys have always had presidential ambitions, and they have not been very popular in that angle. A person like Anise, I would say we forgot completely about him
Totally.
until Samto had to pull him to use his party, right? When he was
Yes.
refused this thing. That's how Anise. I was almost trying to ask where is Anise. I never heard of him for a long time. I know that Jekam is in Cameroon, and I did chat with him a little bit. Both of them are people with ambitions, and they are also, I don't know how effective they are right now in mobilizing people on the ground. But in the 90s, I know they were very effective, like Jekam Chamini with Cap Liberté, did a lot of work for about 6 months. But what I would say also, they are not the only community mobilizers on the ground.
No.
And even in the diaspora, there are others who are doing work, and in their absence, and Zambia is going to arrest all of them. In their absence, the mobilization will still go on. I don't see that really having, and like Patrick said, it's a non-event. It would only go to justify a lot of things about the system, and it might bring in also some international noise, because these two guys have been known since the 90s, also internationally.
Well, as we are talking, we're getting news of another arrest, and you can find him there. That is, we are receiving the news that this guy, Fabrice Lena, is currently held at the Judicial Police in Bonanjo in Douala, and he is supposed to be campaign manager of Ateki Seta. Manager of Ateki Seta. I don't know whether Ateki Seta is a member of the Union for Change, but we are receiving information that he too has been arrested, and he is currently being held at the Judicial Police in Bonanjo, Douala. So, comrades, we've gone so far. I think at this moment, let us open the phone lines and hear from our viewers. Let's know what is on their mind. Remember, if you are calling, make sure you turn down the volume of your television set or whatever you are watching from. Turn down the volume before you call. If I pick your call and I hear the repetition in the background, I won't pick your call because you won't hear me. There will be a delay. So turn down the volume of your set before you call. The phone line is right there on your screen. Go ahead and call, and if you have information of what is happening on the ground, if you are calling from ground zero, let us know what you know. Again, the phone number is there on the screen. All right. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we are receiving news of arrest in La République du Cameroon of Aniset Ekane and Chokam Chameni. My apologies for the pronunciation of those names. They are not BLM names, you know that. So, getting reports of the arrest of 3 people in La République du Cameroon, I guess supporters of collaborators of Isa Tchiroma. That's what we are getting tonight. Let's get to the phones. All right. Hello.
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 Greetings, Comrade Chris.
Greetings, sir. May I know where you are calling from, please?
This is Victor calling from Texas. Right?
Calling from where? Texas?
Texas. Yeah.
Okay. What is on your mind, sir?
So I want to first of all start by appreciating Professor Patrice Nganang. I've been a follower of his for some time now, from when he was arrested, very vocal about the political situation. I want to appreciate him, and I want to congratulate him for standing for truth and being a man of, I'd say, high integrity. And I think that it's in our place to recognize such people, such brothers from the other side, and celebrate them. And I think we should even give him a title, maybe or something.
I already promised him honorary citizen of Ambazonia.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, and then I'll go to a question. I have a question for him. He's leading a movement now called Shasamang, as he puts it, and I would like to find out if this movement will also vie for the people of Southern Cameroon. That is, if it's also after chasing away Dia, if the people of Southern Cameroon should put their hands together and join the movement Shasamang and push away Dia, how is this movement going to also put the plight of the Southern Cameroonian people at the forefront after the chasing away of Dia? Are we looking at them also pushing for what we have been advocating for, say, a referendum, an exclusive referendum for Southern Cameroonians, for them to choose? Because the truth is, we as Southern Cameroonians so much believe in democracy, and if the people truly vote in the free and fair elections, in a free and fair referendum, to to continue the union with the people of La Republique du Cameroon, all the fighters will be good with that, all the leaders will be good with that, and peace would return to that region. But is the movement looking in that direction? Because we are willing to engage in that project, in that movement. But are they also looking out for the plight of the Southern Cameroon?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I will get him back. Professor Nganam, if you want to attempt an answer in 50 seconds, sir.
Yeah, okay. The answer is certainly yes. Thank you, first of all, for the question and for those for your compliments. No, the answer is obviously yes. I think it is impossible for me to even think as a human being without having the template of my thinking be Ambazonia. So it is simply impossible. But the other matter is that all of us may have noticed that francophones tend not to be tacticians. And I've been involved in campaigning for many years now, a few decades already. But I always felt the need to have a tactical organization, not only at the top, but really at the bottom, how to organize grassroots actions. So Shasuma is essentially that. So it is morphing. It depends on what's happening. 2018 is not 2025. So essentially, we are trying to reorganize the thinking for people to understand that when, for instance, you have a movement that starts in Chang, and then suddenly you have Garua, and then you have Marua, and then you have Ngaundere, etc. So it means you have some thinking behind it. So you have some organization. So, and it is also impossible to have people understand what is winning, because when one says these are arrested, these are negative news. It is important to outbalance those negative news, or these are killed. It is important to outbalance those negative news with tactical wins. So what did people win? What did they win? For instance, today, Ikani and Ise are arrested with Jokam Tamini, Caston, etc. So these are losses. What is the win? The win is that you have a legitimate constitution of the personality of Issa Tchiroma, but even of Ikani and Ise and Jokam Tamini, who were skeletons politically, but now they are getting some beef. So it is important to do that type of analysis for people to understand that a battle is not only won on the long run, it is a succession of many wins. And sometimes you even lose many small battles, but then you win the war. So somebody has to do some tactical thinking as well. And francophones have been quite weak in that. So that's what we are trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do.
All right, let's get back to the phones. Hello. Hello.
Hello?
Hello, where are you calling from, please?
Hello?
I can hear you, sir. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from
From where? Hello? Okay, we lost that caller. All right, the line is still open, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead and call if you have a contribution to make. All right. Go ahead and call if you have a contribution to make. If I may ask, come back to you, Comrade Ebony. How many citizens does Cameroon arrest to stop Isa Chiroma? The whole country?
The whole country, apparently. They will have to arrest the whole country. And I'm very certain that even people who may be some people who may be registered CPDM members would be feeling the heat too, and maybe would also be standing for change.
It's really
So
about
all is about how we manage, how people and the leadership manages the momentum, because most of the time we squander the momentum and the interest and the anxiety in people.
but now last time be time. Let's not forget that.
Patrice, hold on a second there. Let's get to this caller here. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, where are you calling from, please?
Hello? I'm calling from Grazero, Republic.
Okay, and what is on your mind, sir?
Yeah, I have been following that closely, and we are very, very emotional, and we don't do things that are responsible and decent. And the CPDM is using this against us. They plan their show, they do their show, and they attend the result. We are seeing the arrest as a child's play. It's not a child's play. It's something that gives them an upper room, give them the leeway ahead. When they keep on arresting people, it weakens the movement. And there is no way that Issa Tchiroma will become the president. Please, let's put that at the back of our mind. Because this regime has bent down, is planning the thing, and we are moving up. It's not by walking on the street. It's not by coming to the house of Issa Tchiroma. That is not the problem. The problem is the regime, even right now, they know what they are doing. They are preparing the ground to soften the people's mind, and they are burning to do that. And so we are only sitting, we talk emotion, we talk hard things. The same thing keep on happening. The same process keep on happening. The same events keep on happening.
All right. So, in your opinion, what is the way forward?
The way forward is we have to plan this thing before now. It's not on the election time that we are going on the street and doing all these things. It will never happen, because that is not how the CPDM is planning.
All
You
right.
did not come to the show this evening just like that. You did not come. You prepare before coming here.
Right.
And preparation a fit success.
You are correct, but we can't sit here and say that the Tchiroma camp is not prepared. We don't know what they are planning to do, right?
The issue is they know they were going to stay long. Look at what happened to us. Because people like us, we are not going to the street. We lost our loved one. We are not going to any street because they did not say anything. They did not come to our rescue. They did not comfort us. They did not march on the street. They did not. So we are not going anywhere. We are there. We remain in. And the place, let me just say one thing before I end here. The place is fragmented. The people of the West are going their own way. The Northeast will fight themselves. The place is fragmented, and so there is no way. Even although you see people are going on the road, they will soon get tired, and the government knows about it.
Well, that's what I said at the beginning of this show, that if long-term plans are not in place, that's the result we should expect, and the regime is banking on that. All right, thank you for the call. What do you guys think about what this guy is saying, talking about the readiness of the opposition to launch a fight with a plan?
I think the last time all of us saw the North erupt was 1992. I actually remember the last popular uprising or so in Garoua was 1992, and that is how UNDP was born. 1990 or so, and that's how UNDP was born. A revival, if you want, of a certain dormant energy. and then it was cooled down. It was finished. It was done. So I think our brother doesn't have a reading that I necessarily share. So I'm not desperate. I think that we've seen Marwa, Kusiri, Mora, Gaundere, successively, erupt. It is something that hasn't happened for 30 years. So you cannot simply wash it away and say that, because two people are arrested in Douala, everything is going to cool down. On the contrary, I think people are preparing themselves psychologically for Monday when the results are going to be to be announced. So I will simply say that let's be optimistic. Cameroonians are awakening, and everybody is saying that Bia's regime is coming. And if Bia is not careful, he's going to be dragged on the street like a dog, a dead dog. That is what is happening. He's trying to survive. It is not 1992. It is now 2025. He's 95 years old. So he is trying to survive, and he can be killed by the population. That's what's happening.
Hello, good evening, sir. Where are you calling from, please?
I'm calling from Ground Zero.
Okay, and what is on your mind, sir?
My mind is that, especially those of us in the Amazonian, we didn't vote. People who will go and fight are those who voted. And so if people in Garua, in Douala and in Yaoundé, there are people there who voted, and they will stand for their case. They are very prepared. Let them be deceived. I am in Europa, we didn't vote here. So that day, things will be working locally, but they will be revolting in that area. That's what we mean.
All right.
Last caller was saying they will go and stay. No, this time people are determined that come what may, they will fight and get the victory.
All right. Okay, thank you for the call. All right, my comrade Ebini and Patrice, let me give you a minute each to round up and we'll call it a night. Start with comrade Ebini, please.
Well, at this time, some of us who are able to make public statements, and we should train the minds of our people on how to approach these things. Validate every sentiment, like the two people who talked lastly here. We already know Cameroonians, and we even though we are hoping and our motivation is so heightened, we should also be wary that we are dealing with the people who have been so traumatized for over 60 years. And most of the people who are going to be the ones to try to chase this man away are people who have known nothing but what this man has made them to know. So we should also know how to train the minds of our people by, first of all, we have come to a place where we've been in so much disagreement with each other. We should validate everybody's opinion, everybody's sentiments. Let's not make anybody who comes and asks a question or wants to talk give his own idea because we have been more vocal. We should not claim to have all the answers. We should hope that we have leaderships that can listen to all of these opinions and get the best out of it for the way forward. Comrade Chris, you and I have been on and off as on opinion, on ideas and all the like. There are times when we've been at each other, and when you started your program came in a way that you were doing it, I sent you a text to tell you that I like the direction of things, the way you're going, and encourage you to continue going that way. Because if you're doing good, it is my good, it is our good, it is our collective good. That is how Cameroonians should be looking at success of our efforts to bring it together. I know I was at an event on Saturday that I met Chris Ajua, my also good friend, and I said, "Hey, Chris, how I saw you on Chris' show, and I like the direction he's taking now, and I look at even people who are calling us terrorists are fighting to come on his show. That's a win for all of us." And Chris told me that, "Hey, that's your little brother. Advise him." I said, "Oh, I'll give him advice as long as he listens. I'll give him advice to do much better again, because if he does much better, he's a good journalist addressing our issues and everything. It's good for all of us." So that is the spirit I want to be embedded in all of us. Nobody should feel suppressed or that their opinion does not matter. Let us validate everybody's stand in this issue. When I say everybody's stand, a person, all of us on the camp who want the real change, who say this is the moment. And the way we are moving, even, it should not be premised on just the election. It is long overdue for this action, collective action, which have been tried many times and failed. We keep trying. So this time, like Patrick said that, Patrick, what did you say? Say, now last fight?
Now last time be time.
Now last time be time. So let this be the last time that is time. And Chris, you are my brother, you are my friend. Keep doing what you're doing. We've had disorientation in our own camp. We can still rebuild. We can still regroup our people using this significant platform. And we can still do a lot of things. Now is the time for us to help push the people who are causing us pain in Yaoundé out of place, with the hope that the new team coming can be much different. And hey, Ambazonians, if the fight starts in La Republique and we can fight and push the battles out of our own land, that's our benefit. So it's another way we can benefit from all these 9 years. All the bombings and everything has been on our own land. War also requires that we push the enemy away from our land, and this might be our opportunity.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I think this is a critical moment in our own struggle, because, as you said, whatever happens in La République du Cameroon affects us on the other side of the Mongol, and we're not taking it lightly. And when we vouch support for the ousting of Biya and the inception of Tchiroma, I think it is logical. And we will keep that on. Talking about mending the fences within us, that is coming. You should expect that. I will reach out to you on something that is building. Thank you for joining me on the show. Patrice, it was a pleasure having you. Take a few minutes and say something before you go.
Yes, I will simply would like to, I even wanted to get up first and to be able to say that, because I would like you to remember that for a long time, people had said that francophones are sleeping, that francophones are cowards, that francophones actually don't know how to fight, and that we see our leaders arrested, we do nothing. And those who were fighting were outside, were in the diaspora. The BAS, you remember the BAS?
Yeah.
They were in France, they were in the United States, etc. But now, have you seen anybody do anything in France or in the United States? We can rest here. The battle is at home. That has changed. It has changed. When we were fighting, outside here, people were saying, those who are outside there, the fight has to be on the terrain. They were saying it has to be on the ground. The who are not fighting are the francophones. And now the fight has started. As you can see, the francophones are fighting. They are doing something substantial. They are rising up. They are actually expressing their discontent. They are expressing what they think. They are actually planning to go out on, remember the day, on Sunday, the 26th. It is clear that the government is doing its best to make that not happen. But it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I am calling on everyone. I'm calling on you, be you Southern Cameroonian, be you Francophone, Hausa, Bamileke, Sawa. I know my brother Chris Ibini is a Sawa. From Lebialem, all of you, come out and let us march and chase Biya. When Biya is away, we will sit together and make sure that whatever you wanted is going to be granted. But for the moment, we have to chase BI away from power, and that is called chassement. Chassement. You have to remember that. Chassement.
All right.
Shashaman.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming in and being part of the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a long one. We're going to call it a night here. But before I go, let me make the appeal that I keep on making on a daily basis here. ABS is surviving because of a few people who have joined hands to see that it stays on satellite. But those hands are not enough. And if care is not taken, we may go off of the satellite and nobody can watch us on ground zero and the rest of Africa. My appeal is to all of you. We need 100 people, just 100 people out there who will say, Comrade Chris, I want to support ABS. And all we need is at least a commitment of $25 or more a month. A commitment of $25 or more a month. If we have 100 people giving us $25 each month, it pays ABS satellite. We are not just on one satellite. We are on 2 satellites that enables us to cover all of Africa, all of sub-Saharan Africa, that is, with the exception of Morocco, Libya, Tunisia, and Algeria. Other than that, we are being watched all over Africa. But we need your help. If you enjoy and appreciate what we are trying to do here, we need just 100 people who will join the team to contribute $25 or more a month for ABS to stay on satellite. I look forward to coming back here tomorrow with open mic, ladies and gentlemen. So stay tuned and stay safe out there until tomorrow when I come back. Good night and God bless.